Fantastic. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening at Royal Holloway. My name is James Casey. I'm a Schools and Colleges Liaison Officer here in the UK Student Recruitment Team at Royal Holloway. Previous to that, I also used to be a student at Royal Holloway, so I studied Drama and Theatre Studies for 3 years of undergraduate level, and then I also stayed for an extra year to do a Master's in Drama. So it's fantastic to be here with you this evening to talk about all things about essentially life at Royal Holloway, everything that you need to know about life as a student at Royal Holloway. I am joined here this evening by two of our wonderful student ambassadors as well. They've very kindly given up their time to come and talk to you about their experiences this evening. Natasha, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Natasha. I'm a third-year Drama and Theatre Studies student too. And as you know, I'm a student ambassador here to answer any questions you may have at the end of the session.
Fantastic. And Mo as well, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Mohammed, or Mo is fine as well. I am in my third and final year studying law with criminology. I'm also a student ambassador, and yeah, happy to take any questions later on.
Fantastic, thank you so much both. Please feel free to go off camera now, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so in terms of, you may have picked it up there, we have got some really good, useful content to go through with you for about the next 20 to 30 minutes. As I said, all about life at Royal Holloway. Beyond that, we will have a Q&A session. So thank you to those of you that have already pre-submitted some of those questions. They're really great, thank you. But as well, if you do have any questions along the way, that's absolutely fine. Please do use the questions function within the chat, and essentially we'll be able to go through some of those later on. As I said, hopefully we'll get through as many of them as we can before that 6 p.m. cutoff. So I'm just going to share my screen. Bear with me as I look at my second screen here. There we go, fantastic. So yes, in terms of the things that we are going to be covering this evening, it is really going to be some really useful stuff for you. And with that, the webinar will be recorded. So if you do want to catch up at any point in later days, it will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So absolutely, if you missed something tonight and you want to go back over it, please do check out our Royal Holloway Schools YouTube channel. Likewise, if you do want to get involved tonight, that's absolutely fantastic. The chat function, just please do be aware if you send something to the organisers, that is us, or to everyone. So if you just want to be aware of that, that would be fantastic as well. In terms of where we're coming from, of course, Royal Holloway, we are a top 30 university in the UK. We're regularly voted as one of the most beautiful campuses not only in the UK, but also around the world. And I think that is partly thanks to our wonderful Victorian Founders Building. Of course, some of you may know it. You can see a snippet of it here in this wonderful picture. But we are very proud of it, built in the Victorian times and still at the heart of our campus today. In terms of where we're located, you can find us flying out of central London here, over West London, and finding our campus here in Egham in Surrey. So just outside of West London, 40 minutes by train back into central London, but we are a lovely green leafy campus. You can see our map here, essentially, lots of different places that you will be throwing yourself into student life on campus. As I said, we are a very green space, and that makes for a really nice balance of student life. Of course, if you are looking at accommodation, you'll find lots of our accommodation on campus as well. But also obviously the academic buildings, so where you'll be studying during your time at Royal Holloway, and of course the all-important social spaces as well. So we'll come on to what some of them are a little bit later on and how you can get involved with the social side of university. But just on the map there, you can of course see our sports centre in the bottom right-hand corner. Up towards the top, you can see our student union, all things like that really. As I said, lots to really throw yourself into when you are a student here. In terms of subjects that we offer, some of you may have already applied, or be hoping to start some of these courses in September. Some of you, it may just be the start of your journey. Either way, hopefully tonight will be really, really useful for you. These departments, essentially, we have 20 different academic departments, and within that, just over 200 different undergraduate courses available to our students. So anything from arts, humanities, but also things like the STEM subjects as well. So there's lots to find out about at Royal Holloway, essentially. In terms of the different areas that we're going to cover in the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, the big starting point, I guess, is how is university different to school? That's a really important question that I think will be useful for you to understand. Support, what support mechanisms do we have specifically here at Royal Holloway available to our students? We'll go through the different types there. Then we're going to lead on to a bit more of a fun section maybe about what to bring with you to university and also what not to bring. Hopefully both sides of that coin there will be really useful for you. As I said, you'll be hearing it from a former Royal Holloway student yourself. And as I said, two of our student ambassadors later on, I'm sure will be able to tell you a bit about what they might want to bring and what not to bring if they were doing it again. And then also just sort of what to expect really. So what is life actually like as a student during your first week at Royal Holloway, but also throughout your 3 years? What can you really expect to happen? And of course, that will then lead into the Q&A later on. So going straight in with it, how is university different to school? So the really big thing to point out here, obviously at school, you will be taught all you need to know. You might have lessons all day. It might also be that you'll be reminded about your homework. Those are 3 pretty standard things that you might have or college. University is obviously a little bit different. It's a lot more independent. Your learning is a lot more independent, partially because you have a mixture of lessons and free time. So your own independent study or research time potentially. Big thing as well, of course, you will be responsible for your own work and your own deadlines within that. So there are some big differences that you might already have to adjust from essentially from school or college. But we do, of course, have lots of support in place to help that step into university learning. In terms of teaching, how it might be structured, obviously some courses will have more of one of these than others. In terms of lectures, pretty common across all subject areas. They're much larger classes, so they might be delivered quite often to a whole year group potentially. And quite often it's an academic talking at the front, whilst you as students will be taking notes. And they could be anywhere from 1 hour long to 3 hours long, anything like that. Slightly different, maybe what you're a little bit more used to. Seminars are much smaller classes, anywhere from around 10 to 15 students, and that's because they're much more discussion based, quite often around a certain topic or theme that you might have been doing academic reading on that week. And quite often that is a student-led discussion, obviously with an academic facilitating and inputting where needed. And they'll be maybe slightly shorter, again, maybe 1 to 2 hours long. And of course, big one for the labs, especially for the science subjects especially, is the labs. So as I said, this is essentially your opportunity to get hands-on with the subjects, a lot more practical. And for that reason, they might be, again, anywhere between 1 hour and 5 hours long. As I said, hopefully those long sessions, you'll have breaks within them. But of course, if you want to get practical and hands-on with your science-based subjects, you will definitely have the opportunity to. Other really cool thing that, of course, might be different that you won't get necessarily at school or college at the moment is lots of different academic opportunities. So one of them will be the year abroad. And that guarantee that we have at Royal Holloway is that all of our undergraduate students are able to apply to a study overseas. This might be as a full academic year, or it might just be a summer between, for instance, your second and your third year. We do have over 80 different global partners around the world. This could be anything from North America to South America, Asia, New Zealand. We have lots of different places that you can essentially choose to go and study. It's not that competitive, but what is competitive is choosing where you want to go. So that's the really big thing to emphasize there. In terms of work experience as well, that's something that we do guarantee you the chance of. If you want to go and take a year in industry, otherwise known as a sandwich year, essentially take a year out of your degree to go and get that practical work experience. Again, it might be really helpful for your future career that you have in mind. As I said, Royal Holloway won't stand in your way if you want to do one of them. Summer internships, again, if you want to take a gap between potentially the end of your summer term and before you start the next year of your degree, you can of course get lots of different summer internships and micro placements as well. So those are usually 2 to 4 weeks of a placement where you'll be matched up by the career service within Royal Holloway directly to an employer. They are obviously much smaller, but great exposure potentially for 2 to 4 weeks, as I said, maybe in your summer term of one of your years of your degree. So in terms of thinking about the support that we then have at Royal Holloway, we do have lots of different ways that we support our students. It could mean academic support, disability support, social support, financial support, and of course career support as well. So to dig deeper on what each of those mean, in terms of academic support, as I said, that step up from potentially year 13 in lots of your cases might seem like a scary jump. Of course, transitioning to university is only something that you really do once in your life, and of course you need that lots of academic support maybe in place for you to help bridge that gap maybe. We do have lots of one-to-one drop-in sessions within departments, and every student at Royal Holloway will have a dedicated academic personal tutor within your department. So if you ever need any support in any way, of course you can go to them. It might be academic, but it might also be personal support that you might want from them. Absolutely, you can go to them with that. Peer guide schemes, again, that's going to be second and third year students specifically coming to help you as a first year student. And of course, lots of departments do actually have specific induction programs for you as well. On the disability and neurodiversity support side of things, again, some really good support mechanisms that we have for students eligible for this support. It might mean assessment arrangements if you want that extra bit of support around assessments. It could be the Disabled Students Allowance, the DSA, if you're eligible for that extra element of student funding. Absolutely, we do have a dedicated support team in place to help you apply and receive that. Early access to course material and extended book loans, as I said, that's really to support your learning as a student at Royal Holloway, even before the time you actually get to that assessment stage. Again, really good support there. And of course, if you ever do need it, our health centre on campus, we do have a dedicated GP on campus and our counselling team as well. So again, they have lots of really good drop-ins pretty much every day of the week. I think quite often between 11 and 1, you can drop in at any point. But of course, again, if you want that sort of more longer term thing, then of course we can make arrangements there as well. So again, some really good support. In terms of what might make you eligible for the support, it could be a physical or sensory disability. It could be a mental health condition, a specific learning disability, or of course things like a long-term health condition as well. And I should say at this point, it's by no means limited to what you may have just seen come up on the screen. But essentially, those are just some of the most common ones that we do see come up. If you think you might be eligible for it, always go and contact the team directly and see which ways essentially that they might be able to support you around there. In terms of financial support, again, that's going to be a really big, important factor within your university experience, your finances. So if you ever do need some student finance support, again, we do have a dedicated team available to students for support on that. Our student union are also fantastic. They have some really good budgeting advice workshops. If you ever do want advice just around how to keep managing your loan, your budgets, your finances during your time as a student. If you do find yourself in emergency financial trouble at any point, then we do have hardship funds and short-term loans available to students. And of course, really, really common, part-time jobs. We do actually have part-time job fairs as well. So lots of local employers, but also on-campus employers. Essentially, as it's a chance for students to really go out there and see what part-time jobs you might be able to get local to campus or on campus itself. I should say at this point, 74% of students in the UK currently have a part-time job, so it's by no means an uncommon thing to partake in. I myself, when I was a student, I actually worked in our little student union shop on campus. You can see a picture there at the bottom of the screen. That was the shop that I was lucky enough to work in for 2.5 years of my studies. As I said, it might mean that it's supporting your financial sort of element to university. It might just mean reducing the cost burden of university, anything like that. But there are lots and lots of jobs for you to get involved in directly on campus, over 1,000 directly on campus. Again, it could be our student ambassador scheme. We've got 2 of our student ambassadors here tonight. That is, of course, something that you can get involved in as a part-time job, not just because you want to. So yeah, that's a really cool thing. Social support, obviously it's going to be a big change socially for you to come to university. And again, that might be quite a scary element to you now, especially if you're starting in September. But rest be assured, we have lots of social support for you to help you to meet really like-minded people to you, I guess. Freshers Festival is a fantastic week for you to really adjust to what university life is like at Royal Holloway. I'll come on to what some of that might mean in just a minute. But absolutely throw yourself into it and see essentially all the opportunities that you might be able to get involved in during your 3 years as a student. Your department, they have lots of specific mixes for other students within your department, so definitely check some of them out. Societies and sports fairs, again, I'll come on to what societies and sports clubs are available to you in just a minute. But we do have fairs specifically for these, again, mostly during Freshers Week. So definitely check them out and see what opportunities you can take part in. And I'll just point you towards here our Give It a Go sessions at the Student Union. They are great ways essentially for you to try something new. So it could be something that you've always wanted to give a go, but you've never actually had the chance. So it could be things like archery. It could be things like arts and crafts. They also do a really cool one called puppy therapy, where they have lots of puppies essentially come into campus for an afternoon and you can go and just pet them. It's wonderful. I definitely encourage you to go and check it out when you do start as a student at Royal Holloway. But yeah, essentially they are really good sessions for you to just give something a go. And then finally, the career support as well. So of course, you're going to university hopefully to enhance your future career prospects. We do have dedicated careers appointments, workshops and fairs throughout your 3 years. As a student, you can take part in them as much or as little as you want. It's up to you. Within departments, again, they do have specific networking events with former students, alumni, but also some really good industry connections as well, potentially. Within that as well, online alumni mentoring schemes. So if you want to reach out to someone who has studied the same course as you and maybe is going into the same field that you want to go into one day, you can actually reach out to them as a mentoring aspect scheme. So absolutely do check that out. And of course, as I've already mentioned, year in industries, internships and placements as well. Lots of really good ways for you to actually get that extra employability on your CV before you even finish your degree. I should just point out at this point as well, obviously we are sort of focusing from a UK perspective tonight, but for those of you joining us from an international perspective, we do also have an international student support office, again specifically for international students. It could be before you even arrive that you want to make the most of our support office, or of course when you are actually living in the UK as well. They are really, really great. If you want support around applying for visas, improving your English or your academic skills, there's lots of different ways that they can support you there. Advice over financial aid, anything like that, definitely do check them out if it's relevant to you. And again, they might even be able to support you in a way that you don't even realise. So definitely go and check them out. Yeah, so that's hopefully a really good sort of understanding for the support mechanisms in place to you as a student at Royal Holloway. Now we need to think about maybe what you do want to bring with you to university and maybe what you don't want to bring. As I said, this is going to be pretty much down to personal interpretation. These are the things that, looking back, I knew that I really needed when I started university, and maybe a few things that I brought with me that I probably didn't need to bring when I started at Royal Holloway. So as I said, hopefully this is going to be a useful and maybe a little bit of fun this segment for you. I guess the first question you need to ask yourself is where you want to live. As I said, some of you may have already asked and answered this question at this stage, but this is the first step. Do you want to stay living at home and commute to campus? Do you want to live in university accommodation? Or maybe do you want to live in shared housing in the local area, in Egham or in Englefield Green? Once you've decided upon that, obviously, consider the Royal Holloway accommodation options that we have available to you. These are just some of them that we have on campus directly. We do have 12 different bands of accommodation, and within that, there's lots of variety. So really, if you're thinking about something more modern than George Eliot halls, you can see at the bottom there, bottom left, that is George Eliot halls, and there's a room within George Eliot on the bottom right there. They're the most modern halls, so with that, potentially more expensive. Alternatively, founders, you can actually live in a Victorian building for a year if you wanted to do that. Top left-hand corner there is one of our shared bedrooms within founders. Again, maybe that might mean it's slightly cheaper because you are sharing a bedroom, just something to consider. And of course, things like Tuke, Butler, Williamson, Gower and Wedderburn, they are 5 different blocks of accommodation, again, in the top right-hand corner there. Pretty much good across the board, double bed, en suite, self-catered. These are the really sort of important things that you might want to consider when you're thinking about what you might want from your university accommodation. As I said, do you want it to be more modern, or are you happy for it to be slightly older? Price, obviously a really big sort of important factor for you potentially. How much do you actually want to spend? Catered or self-catered, do you want to cook for yourself or not? And of course, ensuite or shared bathroom. That's really going to be down to you as a person. Are you happy to share a bathroom with one other person or 10 other people, or do you want it totally to yourself? Again, that's really something for you to think about. In terms of what you should actually bring to university then, again, this is all down to my personal interpretation. Take it as much as you want, essentially. Bedding and covers, I would definitely bring that with you. It's not supplied by our accommodation. Clothes, of course, personal medication, if that applies to you, stationery for your learning, toiletries, a laptop, tablet, or any other specific study aids that you may have, cosmetics, if it applies to you, a clothes horse or a peg or anything around that might be really useful. You can get some really good ones that hang off a radiator as well. That's what I had during my first year. And of course, things like washing detergent has to go with it. And personal, my favourite at the bottom there, a doorstop. I really strongly advise that to students just because it shows that you want to have a sort of an open door policy, especially as a really good way of meeting people within your accommodation, with your flat maybe. It just shows that you're open to meeting new people and you don't want to lock yourself away essentially. So that might be something nice to consider. On the kitchen side of things, again, some quite obvious things there: plates, bowls, mugs, glasses, cutlery, utensils, pots and pans, and Tupperware. Tupperware, if you're specifically thinking about maybe bringing lunch with you to your lectures or anything like that. Maybe you're out for a full day of lectures and you want to save a bit of money by having pasta in a Tupperware, for instance. And on the personal belongings side of things, a phone, of course, really important. A passport, definitely bring your passport with you. You might need it for enrolment alongside your university documents. But also, if you get a part-time job or anything like that, you don't want to have to worry about going home and getting your passport for some reason, anything like that. TV or projector, again, totally optional. If that is something that you really like, you really love watching TV, definitely think about it. And room decorations. If you really want to make your room yours, essentially, you want to feel at home in your room, maybe bring photos of your family, your friends, anyone that might be important to you, essentially, and posters, things that you really love and enjoy. Again, hopefully that's a good tip about what you might want to bring to university. On the other side, the flip side of it, again, this is all down to personal interpretation. AKA, as I put an example there, if you love to bake, of course, bring your baking stuff. Otherwise, maybe just leave it at home. I know sometimes it's down to personal interpretation, but you think you might bake every week. You might make, I don't know, bread once a week to really use. You might end up only making it once and it will just sit there in the back of your cupboard for a year. Maybe it's just something to consider. Kitchen appliances, they'll all be supplied by your halls of accommodation if you are staying in self-catered halls. Quite often, even in our catered facilities, you will still have access to a fridge, a microwave, a kettle, things like that as well. Furniture, your room will be kitted out for you already, so you don't need to worry about that. Mini fridge, same again, catered or self-catered, you will not need a mini fridge. School textbooks, that's a funny one. You might think at this stage that what you might have studied in year 12 or 13 is going to be really helpful for you, maybe during your first year. Sometimes it can be in specific course cases, but I would say in about 7 times out of 10, you won't really need your old school textbooks. It will be new learning that you'll be doing. It won't be going over things that you've studied in the past, but of course, that's down to your personal interpretation. Candles or incense, definitely don't bring them if you're living in halls of accommodation. You are not allowed to open flames within these halls, so absolutely don't bring them. Pets, yes, I know, that's really, really sad. I would love to have brought my dog with me to my halls of accommodation, but sadly, yes, for obvious reasons, you are not allowed to bring your pet with you to university. I know, that is sad. Hoover, again, things like that will be supplied within your halls of accommodation, ironing and ironing board as well. Kitchen utensils, anything that's really unnecessary there, maybe a garlic press, kitchen scales, again, down to personal interpretation. If you really love to cook, if you really love to bake, maybe, you know, that's one of your hobbies, you know you're going to make the most of it. Of course, bring it along in that case, but it's just something that you might not necessarily need. Again, hopefully that's a good sort of marker for maybe what to bring and what not to bring to university. It's just something that really is good to get you thinking about it. Of course, if you're not staying in accommodation, you are commuting to campus, there's some really important things that you will need to consider. The cost of travel, whether it be public transport or petrol, for instance, on a car. And with that, of course, car permit applications as well. So you need to really get ahead on the game there and thinking about getting a car permit sorted out for campus, maybe, everything like that. The really big thing, I guess, to emphasize about commuting students is that it's really good for you to just keep planning ahead. When you are a student, if you want to, you know, if you know that you're going to be on campus 3 days a week, for instance, maybe it's just planning that lunch with a friend, you know, a few days before. You're really planning ahead there to keep throwing yourself into campus life, essentially. Maybe that's just that sort of slight bit of element that you need extra preparation on. And of course, with that, really throw yourself into Welcome Week in just the same way as if you were living on campus. Get involved in the same activities, try out those new things. And of course, with that, you will meet lots of new people with like-minded interests as well. So definitely throw yourself into that. In terms of Welcome Week, that is a good link there about what to expect from life at Royal Holloway. Welcome Week is probably one of my favourite weeks looking back on my university time. It's your first week at university, everyone else with you, it's their first week at university as well. It's your chance to really throw yourself into your new place of living and your new place of studying. These are some of the activities that we have at Royal Holloway. I think our lineup has not yet been revealed for this year, but if you do want to get a bit more of a flavour for what your Welcome Week might be like, definitely do check out last year's. We do have things like a welcome barbecue on your first night, a pub quiz. I remember doing that on my second night at university, and I met 2 of my closest friends throughout my time at university on that night. So don't sort of underestimate the importance of those occasions. Freshers Fair, that will be for your clubs and societies that you might want to sign up to. Freshers Ball, that will be the end of your Freshers Week, where everyone will take over Founders for an evening and have that sort of ball festival type night, essentially. Really, really fun occasions. Anything there, acoustic sessions, sports viewings, maybe if you want to try out for a sports team, and of course market day as well. So every Tuesday is market day on campus. If you don't want to trek down to a supermarket in Egham, maybe down the hill, you can of course get lots of fresh goods at our market stalls on a Tuesday. In terms of club societies and student media, you've probably heard me bring these up a few times already tonight. Essentially, clubs, societies, or student media, they are student groups based around any of the following. So it might be a sport, an academic or hobby interest, creative arts or media, cultural or faith, or political and ideological ideas as well. They really are for you to meet like-minded people with similar interests really about university. And essentially these groups can run social events, trips, and quite often fundraise for charitable reasons as well. So they are really, really great ways of getting involved. Of course, you can just join as a member, or you can join as a committee, as part of the committee. So it might be as a president, a treasurer, a social secretary. Again, more commonly as you move into second and third years of your degree. But definitely, you can really get involved as many of these or as little of these as you want. There's nothing compulsory about it, but as I said, they're really fun ways of meeting like-minded people to you with similar interests. Some examples we've got on the board there: GameSock, Humans versus Zombies. Down the bottom there, African Caribbean Society. Some of my best memories really from nights out on our campus are from ACS taking over our student union. They are, as I said, really fantastic ways of getting involved in lots of social events as well. So definitely check them out. We do have over 130 different clubs and societies within our student union. So yeah, definitely there is something to get involved in for everyone. And I thought it'd be really nice to sort of finish my content for you this evening with a little bit of a video about our summer ball. So summer ball essentially is the end of at the end of summer term. I believe this week, this Friday, is our summer ball for this year. Essentially, it's really your chance to get stuck into a big night of celebration on campus. As I said, with your classmates, with your social networks, everything like that really. Lots of really great ways for you to get stuck in on summer ball evening. Essentially, it takes over Founders. So both quads of Founders will be filled with a festival type stage. We have lots of acts come in. You can see all these happy faces joining us here. This week we have got Wilkinson, the DJ, as our lead act. In previous years we've had Becky Hill, Rudimental, Ella Air. So there's lots of really cool acts that do come along and perform for us. And of course, lots of different like karaoke bands, everything like that. As I said, hopefully this gives you a good little flavour for some of the funnest nights on campus. And that is definitely what Summer Ball is. So I'll finish on that note in terms of the content that I have got for you. We have now got plenty of time for the Q&A session. I can see some questions have come in, so please do keep them coming in if you do have any more. But yes, please do submit. I'll get started on the ones that we have got. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Fantastic. Right, there we go. Thank you for joining me again, Mo and Natasha. So in terms of the first question that we've had submitted here, what is the transition like from school to university? Natasha, would you like to answer that one first?
Yeah, so I think it might have been a little different for me just because I'm an overseas student. So plus I had the pandemic in between, so it was quite daunting, and that's completely normal going from, you know, your family, living there with all your friends, to a completely new place where you don't know anyone. I mean, any advice I could give would be just to going with an open mind. It's okay to be nervous, but it's also okay to be excited because it is an exciting time of your life. And yeah, just go in with an open mind, try and get involved as much as you can, because the Royal Holloway in general makes the transition as easy as possible for you. We have loads of support on hand for any type that you need, financial, any type of support they will have. So if you have any, doubts or you're nervous about anything, we'll help you with anything. Yeah.
Great stuff, thank you. Mo, I know that you come from a commuting student perspective. Is there anything that you'd like to add there, maybe from that perspective? Any top tips for transitioning from school to university?
I think it is different, but I think especially in first year you learn a lot, and you learn from. I think the best thing I'd say is learn from people around you. Like you're all in the same boat, and you might be feeling homesick when you move away, or you might be feeling alone. And the best thing is to like talk to other people around you because you're in the same boat. But it's just something I think you learn as you go along, especially in first year, and then you adapt and improve on that.
Fantastic, thank you. Next one coming in here. Is there any Royal Holloway clubs or societies for individuals that might be interested in the car community? Good question. I guess, do either of you know whether we do have that?
I'm not quite sure, but in any case, if there weren't, there is an opportunity where you can make your own society. We do have that available. If there's a society you want to create that's not already a society, people can guide you, and you're more than welcome to create your own society. So yeah, that's that's from me.
Absolutely, I definitely emphasise that. I said we have got lots of different clubs and societies. If there is a new one that you know will be popular, you can, as I said, get a group of at least 5 to 10 people together that also would be interested in that. Absolutely, get a little application into the student union. They'll be able to give you a little budget, and you'll be able to go and really set up your society from scratch. And obviously, that could be really good for your transferable skills, your employability skills in the future. So definitely, in that case, I would think about doing that, even if we don't have one in the first place. So yeah, thank you very much. Next one here. What's your favourite thing about student life at Royal Holloway? I'll start with Mo on that one. There you go.
For me, I think it's definitely the campus. It's something that I really wanted from my university experience, and something I looked for when I'm looking at universities when I was at your stage or before your stage, because it just had much more of a community presence, and I really like that now. I think going around campus, and Natasha might back me up on this as well. You just see people you know, even in the library, you'll see people you know, and you'll just end up talking to them. So it's just like it's just a nice way to kind of run into people. Yeah, I think that for me, that was the campus and the community element of all the way.
And Natasha, would you like to add anything there as well?
Yeah, obviously as a drama student, I love being close to London, because there is so many things to do in London. But I also love, I mean, location wise, I love being so close to London while not being in the hustle and bustle of London. It's at, like, the center of London. It's quite, a calm campus, beautiful campus, and very safe as well. We have security out there all the time, and definitely, again, coming from Gibraltar as an overseas student, I did feel very safe in this campus, and there's a really nice community student feel to it. So yeah.
Definitely, fantastic answer. It is a really nice community at Royal Holloway, and I think that's probably what sets us apart sometimes, is that we do have that community campus-based feel, but we still have that easy access to London as a city as well. It's a really nice balance of both. From a personal perspective, as a former student, that was again one of the big reasons why I chose Royal Holloway. Next question here. How did you find living in accommodation? I believe, Natasha, you lived in accommodation. And then
Yeah.
And then with that, what accommodation were you in your first year?
So I was in Williamson, which is band A, I believe. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely gave me the opportunity to meet new people, without having to leave as such, because it was 8 people. We all shared one big kitchen. And inevitably, you're going to end up with at least one person that you become really, really close with. And ultimately, most people actually end up moving into houses after for second and third year with them. So I really, truly loved living in halls. I mean, I did have an ensuite, and I was self-catered as well. That was my personal choice. But again, I was able to socialize constantly in the kitchen, and yeah, I actually truly, truly enjoyed it.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah. Another question we've had in here, quickly related to accommodation as well. Are friends not at Royal Holloway allowed to visit and stay in halls? I believe the answer is yes, but you just have to register them as a guest, essentially. That's the really big thing. Again, just to make sure that the people that run your halls know that there is an extra guest staying in accommodation that night. Again, if you need to register a car or anything like that as well, make sure you do that on campus. But yeah, good question there as well. Thank you. Okay, next question then. This is a good one for you, Mo, potentially. What can you do to prepare before you start university in September?
I'd say just relax. Like, don't worry too much about like doing all the readings like beforehand, and you know, like just relax. You've just done your A levels, or you might be done a gap year, and you might be, you know, just relax before you start university, and it gets a lot more like intense. But for me, like I did do some reading, but it only helped me for like one seminar, and I was like, oh, is that it? So because every time the readings come out, you'll have time to prepare for them in that set time. So I say just relax. Oh, like the things you could do is like there's loads of groups you can join to find people early. There's loads of groups on like Facebook. I think people make groups. So you can just like then people kind of go into like course group chats, and but they're like the unofficial ones. So you could join those. Find people you know. Watch loads of YouTube videos. I watched loads of vlogs of people going Royal Holloway and just preparing in that sense of what to bring, what not to bring, and what to expect essentially. So
Fantastic. Natasha, would you like to add anything there? What did you do to prepare, I guess, to start
Yeah,
at university?
same as Mo pretty much. I joined as many Facebook groups as I could, with regards to my subject and my accommodation. I watched lots of YouTube videos. I went on an open day, which also just gave me more information about the university. And yeah, just asked around from my friends who had already gone to university. Um, what I need to take and all that, as James has already shown you a list. But yeah, that's all.
Definitely. And again, just to emphasize, it really is down to personal interpretation. Of course, speak to people that you trust, the people that might have already gone to university before you, parents, friends, siblings, guardians, anything like that. Anyone, teachers, anyone that you might think has gone to university before. If you want to ask a question, absolutely make the most of that support network that you have maybe around you directly. Okay, another question here. Hopefully a quick answer to it. If the course is starting from the 18th of September, will the Freshers Week be from the 11th to the 16th week, or the 18th to the 23rd week? So it will be the first week essentially that you are in your accommodation. I believe that therefore will be the 18th to the 23rd week. It's a whole week of activities, your welcome week. It will start from most likely the Saturday that you move in to your accommodation potentially, all the way up to essentially your first proper academic week when you're fully enrolled as a student. So it's that week that you enroll, whether you stay in accommodation, whether you commute to campus, anything like that, that is the week of your Freshers Week. So yeah, thank you very much. Next one here. Hello everyone. Hello as well. I have applied for an undergraduate degree of psychology, but I am also interested in the film and arts area. Can I join a society with that interest? I'm sure you will all agree with me. Absolutely, you can. That is the purpose of clubs and societies. Even if you're not studying something academically, but you really enjoy it in your spare time, absolutely, that's the perfect reason to go and join a club or society. Natasha, would you want to tell us about any societies that maybe you're a member of and your experiences of them?
Yeah, so as you know, I'm a drama student, but I do have a huge interest in dance, which we don't really do in my course. So I joined the Dance Society and the Latin and Ballroom Society, and even so, there were, psychology students there were history students there were you don't have to be doing a subject to join that particular society. There's no humans versus zombies subject, so again, it shows that you don't have to be doing a subject to join that society, and it gives you the opportunity to meet more people who aren't on your course specifically. So I highly encourage you join as many societies as you're interested in.
Fantastic. Yeah, really good answer that. Mo, as well, what societies have you been a part of?
yeah, I feel like they're quite boring. They're not exciting, but I've been part of like Law Society, which is a lot of the practical side of my subject. I've been part of the Pakistani Society, which is the cultural side. I can't think of any. Sorry, I can't think of anything else right now. Sorry, I was part of TEDx as well for a brief period, and that was so TEDx is the TEDx conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the main ones, and anyone can join. But also other societies run like events, and they're open for anyone. So the Politics Society run loads of like fun events of like good, like not good, but people in politics and just talks with them. So they're good ones to get involved with as well.
Definitely. Yeah, really good. I mean, you can, as I said, get involved with them as much as you want or as little as you want. Obviously, it's important to balance your academic work alongside them. In theory, Wednesday afternoons are dedicated times for clubs and society activities, but definitely always just bear that in mind. Keep on balancing it with your academic work as well. But of course, you're coming to university to enjoy the social side of it, so get involved with them to really make the most of that. Okay. Next question here, again, hopefully a quick sort of answer. In relation to the on-campus gym, does that come as additional fees to your tuition and accommodation? The answer is yes. You can get a sport membership. Do either of you have any of the sports memberships? No, that's absolutely fine. I think, to be honest, I had it for about 6 months during my first year. Again, it works pretty much as a normal sports membership would. You can join up for a term, for 6 months, for a full year. You can get different levels of membership. So just the sort of rate that will get you access to booking facilities, maybe tennis or squash or hockey or anything like that. You can get the next level that will include the gym as part of it. And then you can go all the way to like a platinum level, essentially, that you get sort of priority access to everything. But it does come as an extra cost. And it's all run by Royal Holloway Sports. So that's the big thing for you to check out there. But as I said, give it a go, even if it's not something that you make the most of. You can end up being like me and use it twice within 6 months of your membership, and then you can just never do it again. So absolutely, it's up to you. But yeah, really good question. Thank you for that one. And another quick one there: are memberships to societies or clubs paid? You can obviously pay for memberships. That all goes towards your subs, your subscriptions, really. And of course, that becomes then the pot of money that you can do your society or club activities with, essentially. So yeah, that's a good question as well. How long have we got? So we've got about 10 minutes remaining. Here's a good question for you as well. This was a pre-submitted one. What's the most important thing that you brought with you to university? So thinking back really to your first years, what's the most important thing that you brought with you? Natasha, do you want to go first?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is not very important, but something that was useful that I didn't think I'd use was a doorstop. Again, not important, but because the doors in my halls like just closed automatically, just in order to be more social and to kind of not be stuck in my room all the time. I just had my door open the whole time, and so did everyone else, so we could just kind of come in and out and socialize better than kind of staying to ourselves in our room. So again, not very important, but a useful thing that I used. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Definitely, that's really, really good top tip there. That's really good. Mo, how about you? What was the most important thing that you brought with you to university?
I mean, I'm a commuting student, so I mean, it's a bit different. I didn't really bring anything, but I say my laptop. It's got everything I needed on there. So like, you need to buy books. They're all kind of given to you with online access. So having that, your lectures, your Moodle page has all the information about your module, your course. So I guess that, but it's a bit different in that sense.
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Everything's important. That's a really good thing, exercise, regardless of if you stay with us on campus. If you commute to campus, just make sure, check your bag the night before, essentially, if you're going to a lecture or seminar, and you'll be prepared for the day ahead. As I said, I'm sure that's the same as what you might already have at school or college in your cases, but definitely just keep an eye on that. Here's a really good real life question. One particularly for you, Natasha, I guess, in accommodation. Is the Wi-Fi slow?
I personally, I had no problems with the Wi-Fi. It was actually quite fast. I think it was faster there than it is now in my house. So I personally didn't have any problems with my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that. I think especially during the sort of digital transition, with the time of online learning was a really key way of essentially how you would learn in your course during the pandemic years. It would mean that our Wi-Fi was always, it had to be good, essentially. If there is ever any planned maintenance or anything like that, you get lots of notice beforehand. So definitely, as I said, Wi-Fi has never been an issue for me personally, and I'm sure from both your perspectives as well. So that's really good. Just trying to see if we've got any more questions that we can cover. I can see there are some quite specific questions we've had come in with some of your circumstances. I'm not going to share that in this forum necessarily, so I would always just encourage you to get in contact directly with the appropriate teams. They are available on our website. If it is something admissions related, we do have an admissions inquiry form that you can fill in, and the team are really good at getting back within 2 or 3 working days, if not quicker. So definitely do check that out. If it is something accommodation related, likewise again, there is an accommodation contact on our website. I believe it is just accommodation@rhul.ac.uk. So definitely get in touch with that team if there's something that you want to find out there as well. I'm just going to check to see if we have got any more questions that we can discuss in this forum.
Oh, well, sorry, if I can just add one thing. One thing I remembered, like you could prepare, is looking at student bank accounts as well. They're like they can be really handy, and some of them offer really good perks. I don't know much about student bank accounts, and then someone was like, "Oh, what's your student bank account?" I was like, "What's that?" So they come in really handy. So I have one with Santander, and they give me a rail card, so it just gives me a discount on when I'm traveling by train. And that just comes handy because I'm commuting. I commuted by train the first year as well, so that was really good to have. This was a quick add-in.
Really good, thank you. One final one that has come in here that I think we can discuss. What happens if I need emergency medical care on campus? Either of you would like to answer that one?
So there's a GP on campus for any kind of GP appointments that you may need. Again, if you need to go to A&E, that would be externally, but for immediate care, there is a GP right on campus, so you're never too far away from healthcare, I guess. Yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to emphasise again, if it is something that obviously requires an ambulance, you are told to always bring it through to our campus security team as well. So they are on campus 24/7, all days of the year. So if you ever do need to contact an ambulance, always also let our campus security team know as well. Obviously, our campus is a big place. It can be very confusing to someone who hasn't been on it before. So the security team will meet them as soon as they come onto campus and guide them directly to you. But yeah, of course, emergency medical care will always be available in that circumstance. And one final one, slightly sort of not related to that at all. Is there tickets required for Freshers Week? On that side of things, it's over to the Student Union, Royal Holloway Student Union, so check out their webpage. As I said, I don't think anything details-wise has necessarily been released just yet. They're still obviously going through the motions of summer ball and things like that this week, but definitely check it out ahead of September, and I'm sure you'll see all of the ticket details available at that stage as well. Fantastic. Okay, so I think that's all the questions that we can cover in the session tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, essentially. Thank you so much to Natasha and Mo as well for your really wonderful and honest answers, I guess, about student life at Royal Holloway. Hopefully it's been a really useful session for everyone tonight. I've really enjoyed it. As I said, hopefully just take everything with, take as much of it or as little of it as you want. These are just some really good tips that you've heard from some people that I guess know Royal Holloway. So definitely, thank you for joining us. Hopefully it's been useful. If you do want to catch up on anything throughout the next few days, we will have our session this evening uploaded onto YouTube. So just check out the Royal Holloway Schools YouTube channel, and you will be able to see the recording there as well. But thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully it's been useful, and enjoy the rest of your evenings. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.